Hey, how's it going? In this video, I'm pretty much going to be replaying Death Stranding. And as you know, they announced Death Stranding 2 like a year ago, I believe. And I'm really excited for it. I really wanted to replay the first Death Stranding again. And so that's what I'm doing in this video. But instead of some boring, long Let's Play, I'm just going to be talking to you guys about things I've noticed now that I'm replaying it, and I know like a really good chunk of the lore, and I'm not like lost, and like I actually know what's happening. So our first clue right here that I noticed is the rope along with the stick are two of mankind's oldest tools. The stick to keep the bad away, the rope used to bring the good towards us. They were our first friends of our own invention. Wherever there were people, there were the rope and the stick. So as you can see, it says the stick to keep the bad away and the rope used to bring the good towards us. And if you look, there's a shot in Death Stranding 2 where they show the drawbridge logo, and it says drawbridge, both stick and rope, to protect and connect together for tomorrow. Now what I think this means is, so it says both stick and rope to protect and connect, and as here it says the stick to keep the bad away, and then the rope to bring good towards us, and you know it's under the drawbridge logo. And what I think is going to happen is in the sequel, I think they're going to be using drawbridge somehow to form a connection to like maybe other countries, or just exploring new lands, connecting to other civilizations, worldly dimensions, and opening that drawbridge from America to whatever lands they explore or find. There's also going to be some maybe some bad enemies, some bad people, or some good people. You know, maybe UCA will make some allies and expand their chiral network, and maybe it'll be something bigger. Moving on from that, I'm playing on the director's cut of Death Stranding, and the graphics are so noticeably good. Everything is just more crisp. Like it's very noticeable. At least for my screen, it is very noticeable. And I just got off of recently playing Death Stranding on the PS4 version, because that's where I'm going to platinum it. So I'm fresh off the PS4 version. I just hopped on the PS5 and it looks good. This scene with Fragile, where she gets in the way while he's, jumping that cliff, I never noticed how close he got to hitting her. I feel like the tire just touched her jacket and then she teleported. Insane how close that was. But I just wanted to point that out. As we switch on over to the scene where Sam is out in the cave seeking shelter from the timefall, I noticed that wherever the BT walks, grass grows and like little plants grow where it walks, which I found weird, because isn't it supposed to be dead? I'm sure that doesn't mean anything really. I'm sure it's just like a cool design choice or whatever. And right after this, you'll see up in the sky when the BT goes away and the time fog kind of dissipates and they kind of walk out to the entrance to look up, you can actually see, if you look hard enough, you can see these kind of transparent figures floating in the sky. They're really hard to spot and you can miss it. You really gotta look. You'll see 4 or 5 extinction entities. They're like transparent little figures floating in the sky, and I think that's what they were looking at. But the first time I played this, I didn't catch that at all, and I thought they were just looking up at the sky, looking at the sky clear and the timefall go away, and watching all the BTs go away, but I think they were looking at the 5 extinction entities. If you look hard enough, you can see them. And another thing I noticed in this scene, just how fast Fragile is. She's kind of like outgoing a little bit. Like, for example, she shows her most vulnerable part of herself, like her hand that's been shriveled up by the timefall, where that Higgs made her run out in the timefall. And it's like, I would think that would be something you would keep to yourself. Like, you don't know how people react, like maybe you don't want people to judge you, and it's like, I just found it weird that you would just show like the most vulnerable part of yourself to a complete stranger, and she's like kind of like acting like she knows him already, which I found kind of odd. Now we're moving on to the scene with Sam and Igor and how they have to, dispose of the corpse. Now what I learned in this scene is that they don't actually have to go all the way out to dispose of the body. Technically, they say that, well, Sam says that, why don't we just burn the body here? But Igor says we can't with all that Coryllium in the air, if I said that right. And so what I noticed is that they could dispose of the body here, but then that would put Coryllium in the air, and then that will make Timefall fall, and Timefall attracts BTs. And so they have to do that away from the city, because if a BT eats a human, then that causes a void out, which leaves a crater and kills, takes out this entire town, the city. So yeah. And also that Sam isn't a part of Bridges here. The first time I played this, I had no idea, I was my first time playing, I didn't know anything about it. As you progress through the game, Sam is part of Bridges, and as you get hours and hours and hours in the game, like, you kind of forget that Sam didn't start with Bridges. Like, he was just like a regular porter who did deliveries. As I played this game again for the first time, I kind of assumed I was with Bridges already, because I have been playing for in the end game for hours upon months. That's something I noticed. As we get to the scene where Sam and the porter, Igor is just absolutely fucked, you see this blood and it's sparkling. You see that? It's sparkling. And I found that weird, and I thought maybe that's the Coryllium, because when you die and you turn into a BT, this Coryllium is exhibited from your body and out into the air. And so is that the Coryllium in their blood? That's why their blood is kind of sparkly. Just a theory. So when this whole scene is playing out and the BTs come and everyone's is kind of fucked, you can see the BTs, you can their bodies, you can actually see them, you can see a faint outline, but if you really pay attention, you can see the BTs. Now as we continue this scene where everything starts to float and Higgs spawns in that giant BT and it causes a void out and everyone dies, and then Sam shows up on this beach because he's dead. Why does Sam have a bracelet on? He has that little cuff link that they give him later on, and he also has the UCA necklace, but he hasn't gotten that yet. And I assumed that in this scene that he was on his beach, that he was dead, but is he? Because why would he have those things? He hasn't gotten them yet. Because later on, when you get to Mr. Hartman and he tells you his backstory about how him and his wife died in an explosion, and his kid, everyone in the explosion spawns on one beach with their clothes, and they're not naked. So I'm assuming that when you die, you pretty much spawn on the beach with whatever you were wearing when you died. And so why is Sam naked? He should just be on the beach with his porter clothes on and walk inside the water. But he spawns with a bracelet and a UCA necklace. So I'm thinking maybe the future, or it's just some hidden meaning behind this cutscene that I don't get. I don't know. Now as we skip on over to this scene where when Sam is in the UCA building with the doctor and he came back alive from the void out because he's a repatriate, you can see he has the bracelet on and he's locked to the bed. He obviously is what the fuck is this thing? He just got it just now, and he hasn't even gotten the UCA UCA necklace yet. So that's the point I was trying to make. But this whole situation with Die Hard Man and what's the other guy? I don't even know his name. The doctor. I'm just gonna call him the doctor. They kind of really just force all of this on him. They kind of force all of this of America needs to be connected, and you're the only person that can do it. And there's a scene where the president grabs onto Sam, and she just falls onto the floor and is practically dying now because she's cutting off her life support just to talk to Sam. And she touches his bracelet, and just because of that, against his will, he supposedly has signed a contract, all because all she has to do is just touch his bracelet. Like, I don't think that's how it works. They're just forcing him to do all this. Now we're skipping on over to delivering the president's body over to the incinerator to, burn her. The adaptive triggers in this game really do make you feel like you are just working hard. Like they at least make you feel like you're carrying something heavy, like you're really struggling, because adaptive triggers may not sound like a lot of work, but when you're holding the cargo and Sam is walking, and especially when he shifts left and right and you have to press the triggers, you can feel each footstep and the resistance against the triggers. And when you shift left and right, their triggers get even harder to press down, and you can't really just kind of free walk without holding down L2 and R2 or LT and RT on Xbox. Like, you really gotta just hold it down the entire time, or you'll just struggle to even walk, especially go up a mountain like I'm doing right here. You have to hold it down, and that can get kind of tiring for your hands when you have to hold something down for like such a long time, depending on how far you have to walk with this heavy cargo, and it gets kind of tiring. And then, as you'll see, Sam finally gets up to this incinerator. It's kind of a relief, and it's not like a huge relief, and it's not like this struggle's not that hard, but it's like a little bit of a struggle. A struggle is not the right word. It's a little bit resistance and a little bit of effort that you have to put in with the triggers, and just a little bit of relief, where it really brings in a new immersion to the story. Now we've skipped on over to the scene where he finally reached the incinerator and is about to burn the president. The scene where Mr. Die Hardman tells you to burn the second cargo, and then Sam gets out the second cargo and realizes it's a BB, and it's marked for disposal because it was not working correctly, and it's just equipment, and that's just the rules. I love that they show that Sam has a heart, and he doesn't want to kill this live baby, like this living baby. And I think they make the argument of like, it doesn't even survive outside his pod, and it's just equipment. Like, won't the BB feel the pain? Like, it's getting burned alive to a crisp. Like, isn't that gonna be painful? Like, you can't just let something burn alive. Like, why not like take it out of the pod and like inject something to like put it down peacefully, just then burn it? Like, why not take it out peacefully then burn it? But they want to burn it while it's alive, which was wild. I found really wild. And now we skip on over to where Sam is back with Amelie and Mr. Die Hardman talking about connecting the UCA and the chiral network. And this kind of shows that they have experience. The UCA has experience in, exploring, new lands and meeting new people. And I feel like they would definitely be able to do this again and maybe expand the chiral network or make alliances with new countries or new lands or new people in the second game. Maybe this is further evidence that they may have new areas in Death Stranding 2, maybe. In this scene, they talk about how they didn't run into a single BT while exploring America. I find that weird because they say they just know that she is Amelie, the president's daughter, but they don't know she's the extinction entity, because the only way she could know where BTs were is if she was an extinction entity. But they don't know that. They just think that she's the president's daughter. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe she told him that she has doom powers, but I'm not sure. I feel like that's a plot hole because they talk about she helped us. We didn't run into a single BT, but like, how did you do that? So that's kind of a thing I'm confused about. And then they bring up Higgs over here, and that's when you find out that the suicide in the beginning of the game wasn't just a suicide, it was the homo demons that were behind it. That's what they're called in the game. They were kind of behind that, and they caused that void out. They wanted that void out to happen. So now when we get into the private room, you kind of find out that there's different colors for different types of roles. So the red suit is for medical, the black is for security, and the orange is for disposal, and the blue is for delivery. And the blue suit can actually filter out the chiral matter on your suit, so it can cleanse it on its own, and the others can't do that. So that I did not know. Even in the late in game, I didn't even know that. So now you know, and now I know. So pretty much the rest of this is just me just doing a bunch of orders. A lot of the story stuff is kind of out of the way now, and now it's just time to focus on the actual gameplay. And I gotta say, Mr. Die Hard Man will not let up. Like, when he wants to call you, he will call you. He calls you every 5 minutes for something so insignificant, like something that like how to put up this ladder, how to put your right foot in front of the left. Like, it's actually too much, and I found it extremely annoying. I started to run into a lot of BTs, and the first couple of encounters were pretty easy, but I think the very last encounter of BTs I ran into, it went very bad at the very end, because I got caught by the very last BT, and I just pretty much just made a run for it, and they almost got me, and I almost ran out of stamina, which meant I would have to fight a BT. And I kind of forgot how scary BTs were, because in the end game, and plus the online structures that pop up, BTs kind of just don't exist anymore. Like, there's just a bunch of highways, there's a bunch of zipline networks that I set up that connect, and like other people have like zipline networks, and there's just so many tools into your in your arsenal where it's like you don't really need to. You can easily just avoid BTs in like a billion different ways. And so playing this game fresh and not really having any way to avoid them but just go through them really made me feel the fear of how scary BTs can be. So, and when you get done with your order, you run into Higgs, and the PT boss fight pretty easy, and then eventually you find out that you're gonna go on a cruise ship. Well, not a cruise ship, it's just like a ship, and you go to the central region and expand the chiral network. And on your ride on the ship, you're with Fragile, and it's just you two. And I found their chemistry so far, of course, is not that strong, because Sam is kind of likes to keep to his own devices and stay to himself. Is not that open to opening up to people. But I found this scene kind of remindful of that. Sam does get closer to Fragile later on in the game, but never throughout the entire game does he ever really open up, like verbally. Like, he's kind of just like has no emotion on his face. He's always just like brooding all the time, like no emotion. He doesn't really talk or open up that much, and it's like, I would like to see like a different side of Sam, maybe in the Death Stranding 2, where he's like, he actually reciprocates with Fragile or anyone else, and actually like smiles maybe, and like maybe actually show emotion and talk about something deep, just have more to him. I think that would be great, because Fragile is definitely that, but I don't think that's not Sam. I'd love to see that.